Well, a very good afternoon to you, and welcome to Xandermonium, the talk show that gets you talking. I'm your host, Xander Gibb, and coming up on today's show, we will be breaking down some of this week's hotter topics, and I will be chewing the fat, no, not my own, with comedian Sarah Boyles, talking to medium Marisa Liza Pell, and I will be talking sex, yes, sex, with Noah Michaelson, gay voice editor of the Huffington Post, and getting the scoop on his new show. More to come in a mere moment. You can interact with us during the show in the chat room at the bottom of the show page. Keep scrolling down. Now, if it's not letting you comment, that's because you have to join a blog talk to be able to get in on the conversation. You can do that with either Facebook or Twitter. Don't worry, you won't get any crazy emails. You might get one or two from me, but that's about it. You can also call us on 347-884-9061, or you can tweet us. My Twitter handle is at Xander Gibb, XanderGibb, capital X, capital G, and Sarah, her Twitter handle is at Boyles _S. That's BOYLES underscore, and then the letter S lowercase. The Marisa, her Twitter handle is at Marisa Pell, MARISAPELL. And Noah, his Twitter handle is at Noah Michaelson, NOAHMICHELSON. All of those details are on the radio show page for today on Xandermonium, www.xandergibb.com/radio. Tweet me if you're too shy, and I will make your point for you. There's still time to vote in our poll at xandergibb.com. Will you go to see the Amy Winehouse movie? The choices are yes, maybe, or no, no, no. Those in the know will know exactly what that means. Results to come later on in the show, or you can call us and tell us exactly what you think on this subject or on anything else in the universe you want to get off your chest. Oh, yes, indeed. So welcome to everybody in the chat room. It's great to see you all. Now we're going to go to the virtual green room and get our guest. Sarah Boyles is a comedian and thankfully outspoken resident of Salem, Illinois. She has performed with some of the greats, no, not just me, silly, and I am also proud to call her my friend. So without further ado, welcome back to the show, comedian Sarah Boyles. Hey, Sarah, how you doing?
Hi, Xander. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Is it really hot there in Salem today?
Oh God, yes, yes.
It is here too. I just looked at the temperature gauge. It said hot as balls. So I guess it must be really hot today. So how has your week been to date, and what's really jumped out at you in world occurrences?
The dog was totally barking at me right then. I'm sorry. I hate my dog so much for that reason. What did you say?
I said, how has your week been to date, and what has really jumped out at you in the news this week?
Oh, well, doing okay. What has jumped? Really, there's so much locally going on. I haven't been able to keep up with the national news, really. I wish I have.
You're kind of local. The local issues seem to keep you very busy. I always see on your timeline where you're always getting attacked for having an opinion or being told you can't be a part of a certain page. And, I just want to ask, is Salem actually still part of America?
Unfortunately, yes. But we only fly the rebel flag here, so.
Really? Well,
oh God, they're everywhere.
That's kind of interesting. But I kind of wonder how a lot of these people have social media pages and then they will ban someone because they don't agree with their particular perspective. When did we get to the stage, Sarah, where everybody has to agree with everything we say?
Well, that's nationwide, and I don't know why everybody. I don't get that. I don't know, because if I see something I don't agree with, I move along. I don't focus on it. I have a real life. But I can, as far as speaking for Salem, we're a small community, so if you don't fit into exactly what they want you to fit into, then you're an immediate outcast. And it's nationwide, it's local, it's everybody's mindset anymore is, they're so stuck on political correctness. If you color outside the lines, you must be, banished. You're not accepted for who you are. It's a superiority complex, I think.
Is it like stepping back into the Middle Ages and going to certain parts of Illinois, would you say? Because I guess it's like it everywhere. There are lots of places still in the United States that have this small-town mentality.
Yeah, yes, that's true. And really, it's, you'd think with how they act in Salem, because I know you're just on the outside looking in, you haven't been here, but I'm sure to you it seems like they all wear long skirts and they're all like school marms, which is kind of correct. But,
right.
There's girls that go out in booty shorts and, like, with their boobs hanging out, and that's okay because they don't speak their mind or have opinions. If you have opinions in this town that aren't what the 80-year-olds that run this town believe, then you're immediately, not necessarily banished, but, I have a name in this town just because I've spoken out against how they handle things. For instance, we have so much suicide happening right now. I mean, just 3 days ago, we've had so many kids kill themselves. They do it the same way. They hang themselves. And they're doing it to escape this area, to escape bullying, and we're fourth highest in the entire state of Illinois for suicides per population. We beat Chicago, for God's sake. And
wow.
And our city won't do anything. They won't do anything to help the youth because they don't care about that. It's not benefiting their chicken dinners they have on Sunday after church. It's not benefiting their golf tournament. You know what I mean?
I would have thought anybody that goes to church first and foremost would kind of care about what's going on in their
now, there
community,
are some that
especially
do.
with regards to young people.
There are some that do. I don't want to say there's not, but the leaders themselves, most
enough.
of them, yeah, none of them really care. I know one might. I'm not going to say his name or anything, but I know there's some concern. But as far as the people who could be putting, because I have the budget right in front of me right now. I mean, the people, if they wanted to, they could find the money to have an after-school program, have some counselor. Fourth highest in Illinois is not acceptable.
Definitely not, and I think where children are concerned, where there are suicides occurring, somebody actually needs to look into this. And I applaud you that you don't, like lots of people, leave this to the government and the local authorities. And I think it's amazing that you do speak out, even though you get the level of response that you do from some inbreeds. I mean, people. It's kind of. It's kind of alarming that you think they would welcome people that are trying to make a difference, but clearly they don't. And I think that is very sad, really, don't you?
It's scary and it's sad. I mean, I have kids growing up in this county, the one that everybody's killing themselves in, and they're bullied and nobody wants to listen, and it's. And the thing about, there's a joke, we're in Salem because we can't get out. Because the economy's so shitty here, we can't really, it's hard to leave. So most of the residents are here just pissed off that we're here, And
Absolutely.
some of us want to make it better because we are here. I have a sick relative that I stay here for. There's some people that can't leave because they're being good and they have to help out and they want to help their community. So, it's just... Everybody needs to open up their minds. Like you said, why does everybody think everybody has to agree? They don't, but everybody should do what's best for those around them.
Absolutely, and I'm really sick of the ideology, but I think political correctness is what feeds into it. And we've got to a stage in 2015 where we can't disagree with someone because we don't want to offend them. I don't care if I offend you. I mean, I won't try to offend you on purpose, but if my opinion offends you, that means I've done some good. I've made you actually think about the point that I'm making. And for me, the worry is that there are not enough people around like you and me that are prepared to stand up and have their say because they're afraid of being ousted and treated differently for having an opinion.
Exactly.
So I'll tell you what I want to do today. tell you what I want to do today. I want to try a new thing with you, Sarah, called Hit and Run Hot Topics, if you're up for it. We're going to try and talk about as many subjects in the period of time that we've got together as possible. Now, this is not about how knowledgeable you are on any given subject. It's all about your opinion. Are you up for playing this?
I'll try.
All right. Okay, so let's go. So Obama on Cosby, he said this week that this country and any civilized country should have no tolerance for rape. Now, should Cosby's Presidential Medal of Freedom be revoked, yes or no?
If I knew what that was, I mean, Presidential Medal of Freedom? I don't know what that is, so I'll say...
Well, it's the president. He was given a medal by the president for all his good works, and people are suggesting that he should have that taken away.
Oh, so this was like a while ago? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. God, it's not.
Should it be? Yeah, it should be taken. Yeah, you can't rape a bunch of women.
Absolutely. And here's the thing for me. I think that it's one thing if one or two people had said something like that about him, but what does he think that? What does people think? All these 50 people got together and said, "Let's just piss Cosby off." I doubt that. Really, don't you?
Well, yeah, I doubt that.
Absolutely. All right. Next issue. Kourtney Kardashian and Scott Disick have split, and do we really care?
No, not at all.
Absolutely. Are you like me? Are you sick of hearing about the Kardashians and how they're famous for actually doing, bugger all?
I was sick of them probably the second time I heard their last name years ago. So yes,
right.
I really don't care.
The first thing I think of when I hear the word Kardashian is Star Wars, because there's a race of people called the Kardashians on Star Wars. So maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should blast them into the future in a rocket ship so none of us have to deal with them. All right,
or force them to live in Salem.
Yeah. Well, yeah, can you imagine? That would be a great reality show. The Kardashians, keeping up with the Kardashians in Salem. I think you might have got something there. Okay, next topic. Chinese mom refuses to break the window on her expensive BMW car to save her 3-year-old child. Should she be allowed to keep the kid or the car or neither?
Oh, my God. Wait, the kid was stuck in the car?
The kid was locked in the car and it was obviously very hot, and she should lose the both. Window. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lose both.
What do you think about these idiots that leave their kids in cars, kids and dogs in cars?
I don't understand it.
Me either.
I mean, I think, okay, I'm going to be honest. One time I was picking up a birthday cake for Isaac when he was like, I think it was his first birthday. And I did walk away from the car and then remember like 10 steps afterwards that I forgot to get him out of the car, but it was like 10 steps. So right. I can understand forgetting for a moment because you're a mom and you're, the hormones and the fatigue and the birthday party planning, right. That was some of the problem. But to forget for more than a few seconds is insane to me. I don't understand it.
Absolutely. And I think people, be warned out there, if you leave your kid or your dog in a car, don't be surprised that when you come back to find that someone smashed the window.
If you do it on purpose, you need to go to jail. Well, exactly.
It's kind of bad, really. Okay, next topic. Raven Symone is the new co-host on The View. Is she the right choice for this role, or is she too outspoken?
That's so Raven. I don't know. I just, it was too easy. I like her. I think it's a good idea.
Right. I like her, and I've watched it a couple of weeks with her on, and I've just been surprised that she's not so able to agree to disagree. She has
not?
very tunnel. No, she has very tunnel.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, I don't like people like that. I mean, you can be outspoken and then just be like, okay, but I'm not going to argue.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Sarah, we've been friends for a long time. We don't agree on everything, do we? But we're still friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. All right. So is The View on its way out, do you think? Do you think it's kind of like run its course? Do you think it's in its last few dregs and embers?
Well, considering I didn't even know it was still on air until you mentioned it, yeah, I'd say it's on its last leg.
Absolutely. Okay, Donald Trump is top of the GOP polls. Is he a serious candidate, and can we vote for him?
I feel like I was, because I ran for mayor in Salem, I feel like I was the Donald Trump of the mayor race now.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. You definitely wouldn't.
I don't know. I don't take him seriously.
You didn't talk shit about Mexicans, or you didn't.
No.
You didn't say stuff that was considered
No, I was just
racist.
thought of as a joke. You're right. I'm more like whoever's on bottom in the GOP right now. But,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's a bottom in.
Well, there's like 100
the
of them, isn't there? 17. I think there's 17 of them now.
There's kind of double entendre there. I don't know who's a bottom in the GOP, but moving swiftly on.
Always the woman.
I'm sure there are lots
of
them. Yeah, of course.
You know, Donald Trump, he messed up, and I don't know what to think of him being on top. I can't. Now I'm just thinking purely sexual, but I really don't know what to think of that. They messed up. They split the vote up so bad. I mean, people are going to have a hard time finding someone to back because there's 17 nominees, and it's I don't know. That was stupid. You know, the Republicans kind of dropped the ball on that one, I think.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you, and I think that it's gonna be interesting to watch it play out. And I hope you'll definitely come join us when we do some of our candidate breakdowns. To come and talk about the candidates that are running, et cetera. That will be great to do that. All right, next category. Sinead O'Connor slams Rolling Stone for having Kim Kardashian on the cover. Do you agree, or is Sinead just jealous?
Okay, I do like Sinead O'Connor. I always did, even though she's anti-Catholic and I'm Catholic. I mean,
I don't. Go on.
She doesn't sing. Wait a second. Why was she on the front of Rolling Stone?
Exactly. That was probably her point.
Oh, well, then, yeah,
but
I'm with Sinead.
I don't think Sinead is anti-Catholic. She was anti the Pope. That's
anti the Pope.
Anti.
Well, I mean, because I'm Catholic, I look at that as the same thing because, you know.
I see.
But,
I see.
You know, but I love her, and that's the thing. I can disagree with her and love that she has the balls to stand up and say what she thinks. The Kardashian, it was Kim, you said? Was it Kim?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
she doesn't deserve to be on there. That was stupid of Rolling Stone. Oh, my God, that'd be like putting Paris Hilton on the front. That's really stupid. That was stupid.
So as we're just talking about Kim Kardashian for a second, something that just came through my mind was the fact that Kanye West, her husband, attempted to sing Bohemian Rhapsody. Did you see that?
No. Oh, my God, I have to watch it, though.
Freddie must have turned over in his grave. I mean, I'm not bragging. I can sing that song. That's a very hard song to sing. But I don't really think that Kanye West is that good a singer. I mean, can I say that?
Is this on YouTube? Can I look this up?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Just type in Kanye West sings Bohemian Rhapsody. And there are lots of parodies of him singing with Freddie's facial expression. Because it was bad. I mean, when you can't hit the notes and you're getting the crowd to sing those bits, once or twice in the song maybe, but all the way freaking through, why choose that song if you can't sing it? You know?
And why would you even attempt? Because Kanye West has to use so much auto-tune because he's not a very good singer anyway. Why would you attempt Freddie Mercury? Oh, my God. He's like the best.
When he said, "So you think you can stone me and spit in my eye," I think everybody actually wanted to.
I can't wait to see this.
Me too. Well, I've seen it, and I can assure you it's pretty dire. And for people to kind of believe that he's a good singer is a big surprise to me. Okay,
or a good human.
Yeah, I don't like him. I really don't. I don't like you know. You and I both know that I've had a lot of haters on social media, and we're not going to mention names because we're not going to give them any free publicity.
No.
But when he's had people attack him on social media, he threatens them, and I think that's kind of alarming. It's one thing to go back.
I know he's not very
threatening
bright.
Young people, no, definitely not. Okay, next topic. Obama negotiates with Iran. Should it ever happen? or is this a good thing?
Wow, that's like, I don't like the leaders of Iran because it's a religious state. How they treat their women, keep going. There's so many reasons.
Yeah.
At the same time, they're a little bit more powerful than I think we think they are, and I honestly think I would probably try to just get them not pissed off all the time. I don't know.
But
they're like
we be
that.
Giving them the components to make nuclear weapons and
hell no.
and
No, we
money
shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
We shouldn't. We did that? We shouldn't be doing that.
That's what he's just agreed to do. He's just agreed as part of a 10-year deal to give them components to be able to put together nuclear weapons. The first thing they've said they will do when they have the nuclear capabilities is to blow Israel out of the water. So why are we giving our enemies components to make nuclear weapons to attack our allies? What does this say about our current leadership? I mean, it's damn scary if you ask me.
Well, and Reagan did a similar thing, though. It's really scary because a lot of presidents do this shit. I don't know. I don't trust any of them anymore.
Me either.
Maybe we do need Donald
very
Trump.
Hard to know.
Just kidding.
No, definitely not. Not with that hair. Maybe if you get the stylist, I could take him more seriously. But the difference was in the 80s when arms were passed to our enemies, they were sold. So that's okay because it's part of capitalism.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm being
sarcastic.
Okay, next topic. Shark attacks on the increase. Should people stay out of the water, or is it okay to kill the sharks?
Oh, well, I wouldn't kill the sharks because I don't hate sharks. I hate people.
Oh gosh, me too.
Isn't there a net we can put up? Why do I keep thinking, why isn't there nets up? Like where they can't pass and make the beaches safe. I don't know. I'm going to invent that.
That's a very good point. I wonder if that's been discussed already, but I definitely think
I don't know, because you could bury them.
An amazing alternative to killing.
Well, yeah, just bury the nets, within the swimming. I don't know.
Right.
You know what? We may invent this and become rich, Xander. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'm going to Google it.
And then we can stop
be the next Kardashians.
No more mentioning the Kardashians. All right, next topic. Apparently, Taylor Swift is no longer a role model. Is that the case? Was she ever a role model?
I love Taylor Swift. I adore her.
Right.
I do. She writes her own music.
So was she a role model?
I think so. Oh, God, I think so.
Right. Why do you
think that she's
she
taught
isn't
girls
now?
Huh?
Why do you think they're saying that she isn't a role model anymore?
Oh, well, I know she spoke out against Katy Perry in her own little way in the new song Bad Blood because Katy Perry hired a bunch of Taylor Swift's help just because she hates Taylor Swift, and she paid them more than Taylor could just to use them.
Right.
I know that Katy doesn't write her own music. She has 80-year-old studio executives write her music. I know that Taylor Swift writes all of her own music, plays all of her own music, plays guitar, plays piano, can sing. I mean, she's a real artist. She actually does all of her own stuff. She even produces most of her own videos. I think she's proved to girls, she's from Nashville, Tennessee. She's not from like a big last name or anything. Her parents just noticed she could sing, so they gave her a shot. She's worked hard for what she's done, and she does a lot for kids with cancer.
And I think here's the thing: anybody with talent nowadays is kind of vilified, and to me that's kind of bad. Good for Taylor Swift, and who's to say who isn't a role model today.
They're vilified for how they look, and that's also not a way to be. I'm kind of sick of the slut shaming because she's had a lot of boyfriends, so have a lot of people, and we still look up to them. It's just funny how we all look, like women will pant over Channing Tatum, but then if you look at Taylor Swift, they'll be like, oh, God, she's dressed like a slut. And it's like, well, his pubic hair is showing. I don't know. It's funny how there's double standards there a little bit.
You're absolutely right. And it's kind of sexism, really, as far as I'm concerned.
It is, and it's alive still, yes.
Absolutely, and that's a very unfortunate thing. And well, what is another unfortunate thing, which is a great segue, is we've actually come to the end of our time together today, Sarah. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you come back on very soon. Tell people where they can find you on social media to carry on the conversation. Civil discourse, no bitching, no slut-shaming, just civil discourse.
They can find me on Twitter at Boyles_S, and my Facebook page is just Sarah Boyles.
Or any of her Facebook pages, shall we say.
I have like 20 because I keep getting shut down for side boob. Yes, I'll admit that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. No skin. You got to wear clothing up to the neck, Sarah. You know this is only 2015. You know. I know.
I'm wearing the burqa right now. It's hot,
absolutely.
But I'm wearing it.
I hope so. You should be fully covered when you're on the show, because I am. No, actually, I'm totally naked. But there's something you don't need to imagine. But for now, Sarah Boyles, comedian, thank you so much. Make sure you go check her out on Facebook and Twitter.
Thank you, Xander.
And show your support. Thanks, Sarah. Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was the fabulous comedian Sarah Boyles. Make sure you follow her on Facebook and Twitter, and go to xandergibb.com/radio to get all of her details regarding her social media pages. Absolutely. Oh, gosh, it's a roller coaster ride today. So my next guest, Marisa Liza Pell, is a medium and is a friend to our little show. She is one of the youngest spiritual mediums in the world who has also been graced with the gift of medical intuition. We'll ask a little bit more about that later. Her work has also been featured on various TV and radio programs in addition to print. So without further ado, let's welcome back to Xandermonium the fabulous Marisa Liza Pell. Hi, Marisa. How's it going?
Hi, Xander. I'm so excited to be back on.
It's great to have you. So what's been going on since you were with us last? Because I always see this stuff going on with you. There are events. There are happenings. Tell us what you've been doing since you were last on the show.
Well, I took a little break. You know how busy I was last year. So I took a couple months to just, zone down and to try to get myself together and relax. And now I'm back up with the new schedule going into 2015 into 2016 with events coming up. And we have a couple cool events coming up at the end of the month and going into October.
Now, what do these events entail? I keep saying I'm going to come to one of your events, and I would love to. But like yourself, I have many irons in the fire and so much going on. But tell us what your next event is and what it actually encompasses.
Well, it's similar to what you've seen with, many of the TV mediums when they do what they call gallery readings, where you have a group of people and you give messages from those that have passed. And basically I stand there and I channel messages, and whoever they're for in the audience raises their hand, and I'm able to give those messages to individual guests. So on July 31st, I'm going to be up in Hillsborough, New Jersey, Hillsborough Township at the Royce Brook Golf Club and Banquet Center. So I don't know how far away that is from New York. I think it's about 45 minutes from the city. It's a nice, beautiful summer exclusive gallery, and it's going to be in a beautiful, wedding-style tent. So it's going to be outdoors. And then for the VIP guests, so I do 90 minutes of that where I connect to people that have passed and whoever it's for in the audience, But it's an experience for everyone, It just proves the existence of life after life. And then after that, if somebody is a VIP ticket holder, they have a reception with light refreshments. They get to do a meet and greet with me. And we also do a Q&A forum where they get to ask all those questions they wanted to ask about what it's like to be a medium, what it's like to have this ability, any questions about my life they want to know, or if they're experiencing any strange things themselves and they want to ask about that. Those are for the VIP ticket holders, which we do have some of those tickets available as well.
Brilliant. And we'll try and we'll tweet that. We'll share that information for you, Marisa, and we'll also put it on the website and the mail out for this week's show. So what a lot of people are often confused about is what is the difference between a psychic and a medium?
Yes. Well, the difference is that a medium obviously has psychic abilities because to receive information from the other side, the spirit has to kind of telepathically project an image, kind of like you do on a whiteboard, into my consciousness. So that's a psychic receiving ability of clairvoyance or clairaudience, where you hear or see something. But in this society in America, a psychic is normally viewed as someone who reads your palms or reads your tarot cards and tells your future, which is really not what I believe in. But am I using psychic ability in the terminology sense of the word? Yes. From to receive the information from spirit. But a medium is someone that is a intermediary between this world and the next, and basically it's like the postman. We deliver the mail to the person who needs to get the message from the loved one who's passed on. And its main purpose is for healing and, to let people know that they're okay on the other side.
Absolutely. Now, some people who are Christians kind of believe that this is not right and it's not of God, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure you would disagree with that totally, wouldn't you?
I hear and see that a lot, but if you go into, a Christian, I'm Roman Catholic, so my abilities actually started to become activated when I got my sacraments of confirmation and baptism on the same day when I was 14 years old, and that's when everything kind of activated for me. I had my first spiritual experience. So I am Catholic, and I know in the Catholic Church there are many different types of clergy. There are some clergy that believe fully in this, and other clergy members that look at it in a more conservative way. But if you look at the Vatican, we are, a culture that they believe in exorcism. They believe in the dark spirits that can come into our lives. So if there's dark, there has to be light. But in a more Christian perspective, of course, there's judgment. But in their own church, there are people who prophesize, and they stand up in front of a group and they receive messages and give them to the So it's the same. It's that gift, but it's looked at a little bit different. But the way I look at it as is that prior to giving these messages out to many thousands and thousands of people I've worked with, if it was evil or dark energy, then people wouldn't be going from fear to love. They wouldn't be going from fear and panic and anxiety from losing someone to complete peace and feeling of closure and more faith in God, because that's not an evil purpose. So if my work is providing people to be more at peace and less fearful, then how is that of a dark force, right?
And here's the funny thing for me that most people who acknowledge a Christian faith would acknowledge that God is a triune being, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So spirit is part of Christianity anyway. So I'm sometimes a bit aghast at the level of response. Are you?
As far as what kind of response when people are, upset about this kind of thing, or
because from the ideology that we worship a God that is triune, like 1 and 3 and 3 and 1, and one of those three is a spirit. Why do they take issue with this kind of spiritual things, but not the Holy Spirit? Do you see what I'm saying?
I think there's a lot of judgment that is like a lot of closed-mindedness and a lot of the more extreme. Every religion, every form of spirituality has people in it that are less extreme. It's all individual. I've met Christians who are like, I believe that exists, and I know that there's some people in my religious faith who don't believe in it, and then there's people who are not accepting it all. But I feel like every religions are man-made, but every religion, it's funny, points to the same thing. They're all in search of God. So it's like the goal is the same, but yet the way there is different. So I don't understand why people have such it's such a debate all over the place about religions and stuff. It's just really, it's just going the same place anyway.
And I've always been of the opinion you believe what you want to believe, and even if that's not the same as what I believe, who am I to say that your beliefs are wrong? And surely the pudding is in the eating, because I'm sure if 100 people come along to your event and you're available to give some of those random individuals information or confirm things for them or whatever. It's not like you've been able to research every single one of those people that have come along there. And I'm sure a lot of the things that you share are things that you really wouldn't have known unless this is what your gifting is.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's the people that are the non-believers that sometimes get the best messages because they're
Right.
not coming there expecting anything. They don't have any, their energy is completely open, and they're just like, oh, this is fun, interesting, and they get the best messages. And to be honest, like, I don't have enough time to, like, or care about Googling people or, like, finding out all this stuff. It would take me a lot of time. And secondly, to Google what someone has in their refrigerator or what somebody has in their dresser drawer or when they went for a haircut is not really to be found on Google. Like,
no,
you can't really find that information. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some people that purport to be psychics or mediums, and all of their suggestions are very general. Like, oh, I see someone with a big gold ring on their finger and an Alsatian dog, and because general stuff could pertain to anybody, but most of the really good mediums I've seen, they get really specific stuff, and to me that's what I mean by the proof of the pudding, because where else are they going to get that specific stuff from?
Yeah, and it's called evidential mediumship. With the evidence, it's like, in order for me to say to you, hey, Xander, like, let's say you were a big smoker and your grandmother came through from the other side, wanted you to stop smoking. Well, you could be like, well, yeah, like, anyone's grandmother could come through and tell you to stop smoking, but maybe that's her message, but yet she comes through and says, oh, yeah, well, I realized that you sprained your ankle the other day, and oh yeah, you really nicked yourself with your razor, and you need to get new shaving cream. And oh, by the way, you've been in a really crappy mood the last couple of days because you've been really down on yourself because of a job loss. And I mean, just thing after thing, and then says, oh, by the way, you stopped smoking. That impact is going to really hit you, and you might
Right.
listen to the message a little bit more.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that I often get asked, because I kind of my beliefs are very varied, and it was the anniversary of someone very close to me recently who had died, and one of my family members said, why don't you celebrate this, or why don't you kind of observe this? And my response was, because this person is around me all of the time. I feel this person all of the time. So I don't need to celebrate this person or feel them on any particular day, because I often know that they're there. And it kind of makes me laugh as well to think that this person is around. Do you find that when it's someone's birthday who's passed or the anniversary of their death, do you find that that's a time when people tend to want to be closer to the person they've lost?
No, I tend to agree with you. I feel like they're going to come through when it's timely, when we need their support, when there's something going on in our
Right.
lives they need to be there for. It's mainly for the people that are observing them on that day. They will come back around because of the human beings that are kind of remembering them. It's more for the human being to have something to attach to, and they acknowledge it, but it's not like the only time they're around. It's just like when people come to my events and they're draped in the person's jewelry, and they have their, living room, like, portrait with them and, like, stuff all in their bag, thinking that will make the person come through. And I have to laugh because it's like, if they're going to come through, they're going to come through whether you're wearing their jewelry or not.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
what advice do you have for anybody that feels that this might be a skill that they have? How would you encourage them to develop this skill and maybe even test that skill?
Well, it depends on what type of ability that they have, number one, because it's like Baskin-Robbins, going into an ice cream store. There's many different flavors of ice cream out there. It's not just like, hey, I talk to dead people, or I'm a psychic, or I'm an animal communicator. it's like they have to find out what their gift is first and then refine that from there. So that's really where the starting point is.
Right. But you would always encourage people to investigate it further.
Yes, because if you hold it in and you are afraid of it or you block it, it can make you physically ill.
Right.
So you don't want to block it. But
you're not the first in your family to have these skills, are you?
No. But I was adopted, and I met everybody that were part of my biological family when I was 26. And I found out from stories, that these are people I haven't grown up with, but are genetically, blood relatives, and it ran on both sides of my family. Both sides, very different, very, very different abilities, but both sides were, very strong in that regard.
So I guess you got a double whammy then, basically.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like I was predisposed to this.
I totally believe that we're predisposed to some things. My father was a singer, and I totally believe that I inherited that from him, whether you want to call it genetics or predisposition or whatever. But I definitely think that we are predisposed to some things a lot more than others.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that genetically in our blood, in our cells, like it carries all of our ancestors before us. So these abilities, for me, either came in from another lifetime where I really did this work before, or it came in through people who've done this work that, are genetically linked to me.
Absolutely. And how do you get your information? Is it verbally, or is it oral? Do you hear it? Do you see it, or is it a mixture of the two?
It's all of the above. Sometimes it's just a feeling, sometimes it's visual, sometimes it's auditory, sometimes it's a symbol that I see that I have to interpret. It's all of the above. So when somebody's doing mediumship, they really have to be well-versed on all the different abilities so that they can go back and forth with how the spirit wants to communicate, because they all want to communicate in different ways.
So you don't get a choice, and it really gets kind of it's something beyond your control, as in how it's going to come through, or even if it's going to come through, I guess.
Yeah, I used to think it was in my control, and then I'm like, no. Like, these are different people. They have different personalities. Some are more talkative. Some are more visual. Some are more really quiet, and they just give me a feeling. Like, they actually are the ones that are controlling the communication, which I learned like later on in my career.
And so I guess, like any other skill, you kind of hone that skill, and the more you do it, the more refined you actually become with it.
Yes.
Right. So do you do any? I know some mediums and psychics do kind of like classes to help people, to kind of like assist them with kind of getting better with this. Is that something you do, or that you've considered doing, or?
I used to run a intuitive development program for a number of years, and then things shifted with my career, and I've been traveling a lot, so I had to kind of put that on the back burner, but I really love teaching. But right now I'm kind of working on an online platform which will allow me to, like, be able to help people more in different areas of the country. And that's something that we're developing at the moment.
Absolutely. So what kind of people come along to you, to your events? Is it totally mixed across the board, or mostly older people, younger people? What's the demographic?
I would say between 25 and 55-year-old women are the majority of what I see. You maybe see 5% men, 95% women.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you think that does that speak volumes into whether men or women are more kind of subjected to this kind of longing and need?
It's really funny because the men are more rare, but they're easier to read than the women, because the women are more analytical, so they tend to not be as receptive, where the men are just like black and white. Like, it's either a validation or it's not. It's either your name's Mike or it's not. A woman would say, well, did we call him Mikey, Michael, or Mike? I'm not sure. You know, she would analyze the information, where a man is just like cut and dry. So they're a little bit more fun to read because they participate in a much better way.
Absolutely. And I think that I people I know that have been along and experienced these things, they say that it's helped them to settle. Does that resound with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel this does provide great healing for people. Absolutely.
Yeah, I tend to think so too, and I think that people sometimes fail to see the positives in all of us. Because let's face it, no matter how prepared we think we are for the death of a loved one, we're never really totally prepared, are we? Even if you know that it's imminent, you know.
Yeah, it's something that is a mystery in life, and I think that it's always the longer I do this, the less I know, the less I think I know, and the more gets revealed to me over time. And I'm like, wow, I really thought I knew so much more than what else is out there, and there's so much more out there than I even see.
Absolutely, and I think that's actually not a bad thing, because I know that when people think they know it all, they cease to grow, and they can cease to develop skills that they have.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us once again, because we're coming to the end of our time together, tell us where people can find you. Tell us where your website is. Tell us how people can find out about your work and your events.
People can just go to www.connectionbeyond.com. There's no S, it's just connectionbeyond.com. On Twitter, it's at Marisa Pell with one S. And people can go on Facebook, and it's Connection Beyond and Medium Marisa Pell. So if you just look up Connection Beyond on Google, you'll get all my website, which is linked to all the social media pages, and you can get tickets on my website anytime for any event.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Marisa. We will endeavor to share your links on social media and on the website. Good luck with your next event, and we hope you'll come and join us again very soon.
Thank you, Xander. I hope you'll come out to see one of the events at some point, too, so
I
we
would
can
absolutely
actually
love
meet.
to. Yes, it would be brilliant. Okay, thanks so much, Marisa. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. That was medium Marisa Liza Pell. Make sure you check her out. Go to her website at connectionbeyond.com. All of the details will be on the radio page for today. We are just waiting for Noah to call, Noah from the Huffington Post. While we wait, we're going to listen to this song. This is The Character of a Good Man, and it's by Laurie. I can't think of her last name. I'll tell you right after. Here it goes. It's a bit like
Love and affection can sometimes lead you in the wrong direction, but it's never too late, baby, or to make a change, my friend. And if you see them, you shall find, ask, and it shall be given. Remember, all of the good things come from heaven, and the character
Oh, yes, indeed. That was The Character of a Good Man by the fabulous Laurie Nebo, whose name escaped me. Make sure you check her out on iTunes. My next guest is in the virtual green room right now, so without further ado, let's bring him on. Noah Michaelson is the editorial director at Huffington Post, and along with Karina Kolodny, he hosts a weekly podcast entitled Love and Sex. So here to tell us a little bit more, and yes, we are going to talk about sex. It is the one, the only Mr. Noah Michaelson.
Oh, hello, how are you?
Hi. I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
It's great to have you back on the show. So it's always great to have you. I was really surprised to hear that you now host a weekly podcast. Tell us, how did that come about?
Yeah, so it's actually every other week, and we just started doing a podcast at the Huffington Post probably 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago. And when we started, Karina, who's my co-host, and I thought, we both like talking about sex. We're both interested in sex. Why don't we try and do a love and sex podcast? I think the cool thing about ours, though, there's a bunch of love and sex podcasts out there, but we really try to approach topics from an anthropological sort of point of view. So we aren't just chit-chatting with each other. We're actually getting experts to come on. We're getting listeners to call in and tell their stories. So we take a topic and then we sort of approach it from a bunch of different viewpoints, and I think it makes for really, really good listening.
So is this just a show for gay people, or is it for everybody?
It's for everyone. So some weeks we don't even cover gay topics, or it's a topic that's sort of, adjacent. So we did sex in outer space 2 weeks ago. So, gay people could have sex in outer space, but it's not specifically a queer topic. But, the one that we're doing that comes out tomorrow is about jerk-off clubs and cuddle parties. And so the jerk-off club that we talk to is in Seattle, and that is a gay men's jerk-off club. So sometimes it's queer, sometimes it's not.
So I'm surprised that these things actually, like jerk-off clubs and stuff, that they still exist, because there's been such a move away from that kind of thing. When I lived in London, I used to go to a club every month, and I used to go for the dressing up called the Torture Garden. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
Now, it was actually classified as a sex fetish club, and although honestly I didn't go there for that because I used to go there with my partner, we went there for the fabulous music and to kind of see the creativity. There were other kind of things going on, and I thought things like this had kind of phased out because they seem to be very poo-pooed nowadays, for want of a better expression.
Yeah, one of the things we talk about, though, as well tomorrow in the podcast that people can listen to is that, especially in 2015, we have so much technology and people are meeting in ways, on Grindr and Tinder and places like that, or at least they are intending to meet. But a lot of, those kind of mechanisms for finding someone don't often offer you a lot of intimacy. And so what I think happens is there are still these places like jack-off clubs or cuddle parties where the goal is not even to have sex. The goal is just to go and be intimate with other people and sort of be part of a community. So I'm really interested in how people are looking for intimacy in 2015 and how they're finding it or how they aren't finding it. And so I think that was the most interesting part of the podcast for me.
Brilliant. But do you think that people as a whole, I think like as gay people, there were not very many topics that are kind of like off the list to talk about. But do you think most people in general have a problem talking about sex?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's built into our culture. On the one hand, we're so obsessed with sex, and it's everywhere you look. It's in magazines, it's in movies, it's on MTV, but at the same time, we aren't having real conversations about sex. So we're not actually being honest about what we want or who we want to have sex with. It's all this kind of pretend sex. And so I think for people to actually have really honest conversations about it, we're still not there yet. And it goes back to things like we don't teach real sex education in our schools, and we try and pretend like kids don't kids aren't sexual until they turn 18. And even with gay marriage being legalized in the United States, that's obviously a wonderful thing. But at the same time, the point is not that you meet someone and you get married and then you can have sex and you only have sex for procreation. Sex is a wonderful thing, and I wish that people talked about it more, and so that's another reason that we're doing the podcast too, is that hopefully people listen to it and it makes them think, and maybe they go talk to their partner, or they talk to their kids, or they talk to their best friend, and we have more dialogues about sex.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. My ex-partner and I, who were together for 10 years, we were trying for a baby, but unfortunately, we were never, very successful. But it was fun trying, of course.
Exactly.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing for me. I definitely think that there's a wealth of difference between gay people and straight people with regards to talking about sex, because I know with my gay friends I could sit and say to them, I did X last night with so-and-so and so-and-so, and it wasn't very good. Do you think that straight guys are doing the same thing, or don't they share do you think they only share their good experiences, their notches on the bedpost, their exploits,
I think that there's so much stigma still for straight guys in terms of sex, and to admit that maybe a sexual experience wasn't as good as they would want it to be. So I'm not sure that it is sort of the same thing as when gay guys get together. I'm not a straight guy, so I don't know, and I'm not sure what it would be like. But I think, when we think about masculinity as well in our culture in the 21st century, and what it means to be a man, and a lot of the pressures that I think straight men feel to sort of exemplify masculinity, that plays a lot into that too, sexual prowess and things like that, what you're expected to do, who you're expected to be. It's a lot of pressure, and so I think that a lot of times straight guys feel like they have to put up a front in order to live up to these expectations that are placed on them by society and each other.
Absolutely, and I think by the same token, I think there's an element of that with gay people, because I know when I was like 18, 19, 20 and living in London and stuff, if you weren't getting enough sex, then you were a loser, and if you were getting too much, you were a whore, so you couldn't win anyway.
No, it's really hard to win.
Absolutely, and I think it is changing, but I do totally agree with you that talking about it makes a lot of difference, and actually freeing people up to talk about it, because people are still very embarrassed to talk about sex, and I think that that's kind of worrying. I mean, obviously, don't go to your bank manager when you're trying to get a loan and say, I couldn't get hard on last night or whatever, but in appropriate circumstances, I think it's fairly acceptable. Would you agree?
I do too, and I would also, say that I think talking about sex has very practical consequences that are important as well. I mean, from being safe and talking about the safe ways to have sex and why that's important, but also just to mentally and emotionally feeling healthy about yourself and realizing maybe that you're not alone, that you have a fetish perhaps, and I think you can feel like you're the only person in the world who likes feet, for instance, or likes your nipples played with or whatever. To be able to talk about it and find out, I'm not alone, and no, I'm not a freak for liking this, that's a hugely liberating thing. And so I think the more that people do talk about it, and like you said, in appropriate venues and with appropriate people, obviously, but the more that people talk about it, I think the more that our society opens up and we're more permissive, and it's liberating.
I absolutely agree. So you were plugged in Rolling Stone magazine. Is this true?
It is true. We've been getting so much attention lately, which is really cool. So we have a partnership with Rolling Stone, and so they put a photo of Karina and myself in Rolling Stone. And then yesterday we just were on the homepage of iTunes in the podcast section. There's a big photo of us as well. So it's been, I think, the most fulfilling thing so far, though, is just we get a lot of emails from people telling us how much they enjoy the show, but also telling us about their own problems and asking us to do podcasts about them. So the jerk-off party one that we're doing tomorrow actually came about because we got an email from the head of the jerk-off party in Seattle, and he said, I would love to talk to you about this. And we thought that would make a great show. So we really encourage people to write into us and tell us what they're thinking about and what they want to hear us talk about, and it kind of becomes almost a collaboration between us and our listeners, and I've been loving that.
Well, I think that's imperative to listen to the people that listen to your show, because if you're just putting stuff out there that you want to put out there, you're not giving your public what they want, are you?
Exactly.
You know?
It just becomes masturbatory, so.
Absolutely. And well, if you ever do a show about chubbies and chases, feel free to give me a call, because I have lots of insight in that area. Being a chubby,
think that would be a great show.
Wow, and I would also be ideal for Sex in Space, because bigger people in a low gravity like space are ideal to have sex with. So I'm told. Not that I've ever had sex in space yet, but
Yeah, who knows? They just went to Pluto, so anything is possible.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us about your co-host, Karina. How did it come about that you? Where did she come from? How did she come about doing the show with you?
So Karina heads up our multimedia department, and so she's doing things with videos and illustrations and things like that. Her team is really talented, and she and I were just friends, and we just both realized she's a sex educator as well as being an incredible journalist, and we just were talking one day, and there was actually a story in New York Magazine about men who their fetish is having sex with women who are on their periods. So they're called bloodhounds. And
right,
we thought
I've heard of that.
Yeah, we thought that was so interesting. And we literally just sat there for 45 minutes and talked about it. And this was right when our podcast department was really taking off. And someone said to us, they overheard us, and they were like, you guys should have a podcast. You should talk about these things. And, we're really good friends as it is. So it's nice to just be able to sort of go on the air and chat with someone that you like and that you think is intelligent and who has some experience in the same realm. And it's nice, she is a woman and I'm a guy and I'm queer and she's in a non-queer relationship. So I think we have sort of the spectrum of experience between us where we can speak to a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. And it's just been a lot of fun. It doesn't feel like work, really. It's a lot of work. We put a lot of time into it, but when we're actually doing it, it just feels like it's a good time.
I'm sure it is. I totally get it. I mean, it's a lot of work putting a show together, but the actual doing it is a really pleasurable part of the process as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to say, one of the things I love about you is that you're never afraid to use the word queer. But one of the things I hate about you is here it
Tell
comes,
me.
is I hate seeing pictures of you hobnobbing with Gaga because she's all mine,
That's hilarious. I haven't seen her in a while. She's been kind of laying low, but she's got that American Horror Story coming out, and I'm excited for the next iteration of Gaga. I think nobody really knows what she's going to come back with. And
no, she's kind of like
pupa.
She's in pupa stage again, isn't she?
Yep.
I always kind of think that, in a way, and don't write in and tell me because I really don't care what people think. I think that Lady Gaga and Madonna are kind of alike because creatively they both keep reinventing themselves.
I agree.
Think that that's an imperative part of being an artist. But what do you believe? What do you think about this ideology that you can only like one? I mean, I love them both, and I think they're both amazingly talented. I'm not going to choose.
Yeah, you don't need to. And I think you can also dislike parts of both of them as well,
Right.
I don't think you have to be wedded to them for eternity. And
no.
I also think that's the thing, too. I think we should critique our idols, and I think we should critique artists. Sure. And that's part of what's important about them making art is that it starts a conversation and a dialogue. So, no, you don't have to choose. Never.
No, absolutely. So tell us a little bit of a run-on from what you just said. You and I both work in the media, and we've both been critiqued, both positively and negatively.
Yeah.
Is that okay too? I mean, I've had more. Last week I was told my show is far too gay. The week before I was told my show is far too straight, so I can't frickin' win with anybody. Are you cool with people critiquing you, or do you wish they would just go and form a club somewhere?
You know what? Here's the thing. People can definitely critique me, but I'm always right, so it's kind of a futile exercise.
Right.
You know?
Right. Me too.
I mean, I'm kidding, but I'm not, sort of. That's the thing. The reason I love my Facebook page, it's a public Facebook page. People can come on, even if they're, even if they're not a friend. And I have the most amazing discussions. My friends and the people who I don't even know end up getting these long discussions on Facebook. And people challenge me all the time, but the thing is that I'm going to always come back and challenge you right back because I feel passionate about this stuff and I think about it a lot. So if I'm going to say something, especially something publicly on Facebook or Twitter, it's not a flippant thing. It's something that I actually have thought about and I'm thinking about. So I'll get into it with people, and I want people to. Sometimes people change my mind. It's happened before. So I say bring it on.
Let me ask you something. There seems to be this enormous ideology right now in the world, not just on the LGBTQ, ABCDFG community, but everywhere, that we have to agree on everything. You and I have different ideologies about things, but we still always manage to remain friends. Do we always have to agree with everybody's opinion, or can we just coexist?
We don't have to agree with each other's opinions, but I think there are some things that are absolute. So if your opinion, for instance, is that I shouldn't have the same rights that you have, then that's not okay to me, and we're going to have to deal with that.
Absolutely.
You're welcome to your opinion, but you also have to realize that I'm going to challenge your opinion, especially if it's going to have negative consequences for my own life. But no, that's one of the great things that makes us different. And part of the reason I love running Gay Voices is that there are so many different opinions, especially within the queer community, and it changes every single day. And I learn so much every single day because there are so many viewpoints. I love that.
I totally agree with you, and I kind of hit on something that you said a few minutes ago about your mind, it's possible for your mind to be changed. And for me, that's the key to everything, because if I'm so stuck in my opinion that I won't even consider anybody else's, then what is there left to learn,
Exactly. I always say, too, even with my jobs, I always say I stay at a job until I'm not learning anything anymore. And as long as I'm still learning something, then I want to be there. And that's how I kind of approach a lot of things. That's sort of one of my goals in life, is always to be curious about things, about the world around me, and to try and soak up as much as I can.
Absolutely. I totally agree. But you do remember that you promised that when you do leave your role at Huffington Post, that your wand and crown and sash are coming to me. I have that on record. It's recorded.
Yeah, no, definitely. The FedEx order has already been placed. I just have to hit send, and it'll all go straight to you, so don't worry.
Absolutely. Well, it's been great talking to you again, Noah. Tell us again where we can get your show. Is it?
Sure.
Do you do it live, or do you pre-record it?
No, it's taped.
And then...
It's pre-recorded, exactly.
Right.
And it's on iTunes and it's on SoundCloud. But if you just do a Google search for HuffPost Love and Sex Podcast, you'll get a bunch of different options. We're on Stitcher, a lot of different places for people to tune in. And then you can even just find it on the Huffington Post. We'll write up an entry tomorrow, and we'll have the SoundCloud in the entry too. So every 2 weeks, every Thursday, every other Thursday, I guess. Yeah.
And we will endeavor to share that information so people can go check it out. As I said, give me a call if you decide to do anything on Chubbies and Chasers, and we can talk more about that in the future. It's a fetish, apparently, I'm told, but I've never seen it that way.
No, I think we should definitely do it. That would be awesome.
For sure. Brilliant. But for now, thank you so much for joining us. It was as always, a pleasure talking to you, Noah Michaelson from the Huffington Post. Make sure you check out his podcast, fortnightly Love and Sex at the Huffington Post. Well, not at the Huffington Post, but with the Huffington Post.
Thank you.
Thanks, Noah. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
That was indeed Noah Michaelson from the Huffington Post, the executive director. Make sure you check out his podcast, Love and Sex. We will share the links for that. Thank you so much to everyone who's made today's show possible. Thanks to Sarah Boyles, a comedian, for joining us at the beginning of the show with the Hit and Run Hot Topics section. Thanks to medium Marisa Liza Pell. Make sure you check her out. And once again, thanks to Noah Michaelson from the Huffington Post coming and sharing about his podcast, Love and Sex, via the Huffington Post. Thanks to you for joining us. We will be back with you next week at the same time. Thank you very much, and I love you all. I'm just finding something to play for you, to play out. Let's have some of this. All right. Thanks a lot. Love you. Bye.
Aha, you're my ideal one.